gentlemen, it's our final game today here on the first day, Stage 3 of EUL of our 2021 season. It's Team Secret versus our newcomers. They used to be trained hard, and before that, a lot of changes, that this team has gone through. Now they're Heroic. So Heroic, big organization in esports. We'd like to welcome them to EU League and to our community. May they be here until the end of Rainbow Six itself. So Heroic are in. How about we have a chat about the squad, because they have had a change. Specific player.
They have. They've brought in a Brazilian wonder kid. Let's call him that, because at the moment it's still an unknown quantity, at least in Tier 1, as to how he's going to perform. But I hear he does pretty well with the SMG-11, just as we've seen Alamau at the Mexico Major do. So I think there's a lot of promise there behind him. But of course, I think there was a lot of not controversy rather, but a lot of talk about the fact that Heroic had to make a change. They're in relegation's scary zone, and of course that's a very hard position to get out of. So that's why Thunder's been brought into the mix, and I think he's been a good addition. I'm not sure what you think about the change, though.
I've got a question for you, actually.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
How did the Wonder Kid go for Kavana?
Pretty good.
Went pretty well, right?
19 times good.
Yeah, 19 times good.
Yes, but he has been, and they did refer to it, Mr. Officer referred to that into the interview of saying that he's been here since the beginning of Siege and everyone has known about him. So he's not as an unknown quantity as I believe Thunder is.
Yes.
However, I think Thunder is very heavily respected as well, and I would like to see him come out and swinging, just as we've seen other rookies today come in their first, inaugural game and come out swinging in their debut. I expect it. I don't know, though.
I was quite privileged to meet the Heroic boys. They popped by the studio last week, and I was here a bit early. I met them, and they're actually very quietly confident about this stage. They think they can get themselves out of trouble. They've got the new org. They've made the roster change. They're in a good headspace.
Okay.
Well, let's hope there'll be a bit of a bang and not just a flash for Heroic. So.
Are you trying to teach me how to
thunder,
use it?
Because it's thunder. There you go. Team Secret on the other side. That was good. Hey, you got to say it. Team Secret on the other side, though, fresh. A team that has also had a change on here. But how will that work for them today?
They have, and they're going to a new IGL. They're going to a new brand of Siege. I know Kendrew's kind of spoken a bit publicly about don't expect the same Secret that you've previously seen. Don't expect just a Thatcher ban. He's got his own brand of Siege, and that's what they're going to. They had to make a change because they were staring down the barrel of relegation. There's no two ways about it. They need to make a change, and I'm hearing a lot of good things about Kendrew coming out of the Secret camp.
They even said it so on social media. I mean, they said he has already made significant impact when it comes to decision making, and that's what you want. If you bring a leader into a team, you want that. We question Prano being in, the imposition for Rogue. Is he the right support player? Is he the right leader? Well, we can't tell you whether or not his communication is, but we can say from what we see, it looks like the right indication. That is what you want here for Team Secret. If you're going to bring in a leader, you want to see the results flourish as a result of that. I don't know whether or not that will happen instantly, but I do think it's possible.
It's got to happen instantly. They've got, 9 playdays? They need instant results.
That includes today as well. So you gotta make it happen very quickly. And Kendrew might be the man. We talked to Mr. Officer earlier today, his basically ex-teammate, and obviously Kendrew used to play on Kovana last stage where he was replaced at the end of it. And even Mr. Officer is saying, good luck, Kenny. We really believe in you. They believe in his skill, and we'll see how he pulls today for Team Secret on his debut for TS today. Our map though for the series, Heroic versus Team Secret,
not
7-map pool.
We've had enough bank today, don't you think?
No. Oh, so we were praying for it, and now we don't want it.
We had
Give me a map that had changes to it. Get like a clubhouse. I'm fine with going through clubhouse today.
Okay, a map with changes.
I'm always happy. We get coastline.
Coastline. Let's go, baby.
Heroic going in for the decider, removing Villa and Secret banning bank there at the end. Defender start for Heroic. Now, how does this fit into coastline? Because we talked about changes earlier today in our pre-show. Fresh, how do you think this will tie into Heroic's game plan?
Heroic's game plan is very interesting from them because they're known as quite a good Villa team. So to get rid of Villa and go to coastline, they will have probably seen that Secret are not particularly, coastline's not a particularly high preference map for Secret. But what I will say is when Secret do go to coastline, they've got a plan. They went there against Vitality the last stage. They played very well there. So I kind of wonder if Heroic have fallen into a bit of a trap in the map band laid by Secret.
I mean, it was a close one with Heroic back when they were on Knights against Rogue. They went to OT, lost in OT, but it was still a very close matchup. So I don't by any means feel, and maybe you can disagree with me, I don't feel like it's a bad map for Heroic, but I will say if there is a map to see how good of a gunner Thunder is, he is now the duo for Blaz.
Yeah.
Is there a better map than Coastline? Realistically, I don't think so.
Straight into the firing line.
Yeah, I agree.
I wonder how those changes will come down now with the map, because we talked about it earlier again. You can barricade so much. Those rotations are a lot safer through hallways, through luggage, etc. Like, there's a lot that has come down that are more quality of life changes for Coastline that I think will have more of an impact than we even imagine so far.
Defenders as well. I mean, we always talk about Coastline being the attacking side of the
map,
right? And now you're like, oh, I can actually rotate around as a defender. Magical.
And if we saw it last night as well in NAL, it was very defender-sided.
Really?
That's how it played out. Yeah, I think
I
Sonic's got
sleep,
4 or 5
you
rounds.
stay up and watch out. Yeah.
So we could see the complete opposite. We could see a defender-sided Coastline.
It is the first Playday though.
It's now 4 viable sites as well. So
still a lot to explore through it, which is perfect. This is what we're here for. We got to see Bank 3 times, we got to see Chalet, and like new ways of going around it. And let's see how things will go down then on a Coastline after its changes. If you haven't yet played those buffs or map buff yet in game, you'll get to explore them here first with some of the best players in Europe, though. Fresh Jess, thank you very much here. It's Heroic on their debut as an organization. Thunder himself on the squad now, and it's Secret with Kendra. How will they face up against one another? Let's send it to our casters. It is Ace and Des. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Milosh, and we are here ready to roll into our last matchup. Des, it's Coastline. Now, we know that you've had some issues with this map over the last year, Des, but it's new Coastline, it's different Coastline, and we're going to see some changes in play here. We're actually seeing 2 out of the 3 maps that have seen changes. We haven't seen Clubhouse today, that's the only one that we haven't had. Bank and now Coastline rounding us out nicely, Des.
I'd like to report a crime, and that crime is that Consulate was removed from the map pool, and Coastline, we could be on Consulate right now, Ace.
I mean, you know how to get me on board, because you know that I've got a lot of passion for Consulate. But genuinely, having played Coastline a couple of times, there are things that have really been done here that change the way that it plays, particularly making the windows smaller into places like luggage and vase.
Stop. You're not gonna convince me.
I'm telling you now, Des. Honestly, there's no more sitting on the rooftop. DJing to VIP has all changed. Trust me, it's going to play.
I tell you what, Ace. I tell you what. The only thing that's going to get me through this is your infectious enthusiasm, as it always does. I guarantee. Amaru coming through is a very interesting ban, one that we see a couple of teams utilize. I mean, to be completely fair to Secret, if any team is going to make use of Amaru, it's going to be Heroic. Of course, if you ever watch any of their old games, backers, Easy Dreamers, Temperas, Train Hard, take your pick. They are the kind of team that will use some crazy loopy plays with the Amaru to make it work out. The other 2 bands, pretty staple otherwise. And the final band that will come through from the side of Heroic is going to be the Mirror. Not one that you see all that common, I'd say, on Coastline. You do get it banned away sometimes, has its uses in holding Penthouse Theatre, in holding inside a kitchen, for example. There are options to make good use of a Mirror if you so choose, but I thought we might see something a bit different. Never mind, we'll take it. I'm most excited to see, Ace, if we're going to see any Penthouse Theatre sites being played, given the changes that have been made to VIP.
Well, we know that a lot of the sites are, more viable that maybe weren't previously, so we will see just exactly how that goes. Like you say, it's all about investigating, exploring Coastline now, and seeing what these teams do with it and how we see those changes. So for anybody not aware of the changes, there's been quite a few changes, but the windows have been made smaller into areas like luggage and outside VIP into vase, which make, as you can see in front of you now, thank you very much, medics, the windows have been made much smaller, and what that does is it effectively cuts off the angles from the rooftop. Another interesting angle that's been cut off is the angle that you used to be able to get from luggage to kitchen window. You can't quite get that. There's a very skinny peak onto it if you take out the top of the wall, but it's just not quite the same anymore, again, because of the depth of that window being lowered. So quite a few changes there that remove the rooftop play. We've had VIP wall where there was a window, there is now a soft wall which can be reinforced. So VIP, and we're getting it reinforced now, thank you very much, Durza, becomes potentially more defensible. We'll see how that plays out. But for a hooker and billiards site, for example, we've seen previously how important that area in VIP can be. You get control of that. You can open up a long angle through the wall that is now left soft because the reinforcements have been used further out on your right-hand side. Thank you, medics. You open up a hole in there. You get a view all the way through into hooker and billiards. But now teams seeming like they maybe take the choice to actually put a hard presence inside a VIP.
I was still thinking about Courtyard. Now, it's not like that crap cheese anymore that's got more air than actual cheese in it. Now it's kind of like artful holes where it's like it gives you that style of some holy cheese, but it's still more cheese than air. I might be with you, Ace. I might get into it and give it a bit of time to see how the round plays out. I'm with you. Don't worry. I'm there with you from start to finish, as I always am. Really keen to see how these attacks develop, though, and what new things we might see. I think in the same way with Bank, you won't see too much being changed, because for a lot of people, they're like, map changes means a massive change in how the map is played. No, it's still the fundamental map. It's more quality of life tweaks. Now, here comes the push in, by the way. Secret are in, and there is no one having any kind of response. Finally gets shut down by Thunder. Lots of jokes to come today about his name, I'm sure. Clever finding two back on the other side. So they do still retain control of the site. And for Durza and the other heroic members, they need to find a response here, because Secret have got control of sites. They've got control of shields. They have snuck in basically completely unawares, and we're only 80 seconds in.
One thing that Heroic have got going for them at the minute is that the diffuser's down cold. That's going to need collecting, but Secret going very well. Keenan finding the kill onto Blaz. 4 versus 2 now. It looks like Heroic are just going to make an attempt to potentially play from underneath, but I'm not sure how much joy they're going to have with it now being 4 versus 2. Thunder taking some damage as well, but Durza manages to find one from underneath. It could be the answer, but now that Secret are aware of his location, it's likely to mean trouble. We hear the Nitro with no success, and Durza doesn't have an option but to move back upstairs. Gets cut off on the Cool Vibe stairs, and will find himself heading to an early round end there as Secret take the first one. And the thing is that we saw there was, and I thought we might see it out of course line because of the changes that we've seen, Des, and that is the big thing, that the attackers need to get themselves into the map quicker. They don't have a choice anymore. They have to get themselves in there.
I just love how the players are like saying what they were saying on comms, and they were like, last one, Vars, I'm Sledge, don't shoot, don't shoot. We are going to have a rehost for the hubbub before we can get back into round 2, but it doesn't take away how the game played out in that first round. That was a very surprising rush coming out of Secret that truthfully I don't think Heroic had any expectation was coming. Bursting the way in, taking control of shields. I think for a second Secret kind of hesitated because they were like, well, yeah, is someone actually here? Are we about to get blindsided behind the bar? But sure enough, no one was there. So Heroic caught sleeping in the first round, quite uncharacteristic, and Secret taking a bit of a freebie. Sleben, the one taking 3 kills.
Absolutely, and we'll see if that trend continues. It may have been initially a tactic from Secret to get inside of the map so quickly and just catch them by surprise. I don't think they're going to walk into sight quite as easily in future. I think that's probably fair to say, but as I say, I would still expect to see the attackers moving in much quicker to the map in general, because there just isn't those same opportunities. They've lost external angles like the roof, like the DJ booth window. It's a lot of that has disappeared, so now it's time to think about getting in a little bit quicker, and we'll see how that impacts them overall. But over the first round, Secret looking pretty positive there, managing to do the business, get in, win the gunfights. They were decisive. It was good to see from Secret. The changes were obvious, and if that continues, Heroic could find themselves having a tough day today.
It's honestly just Finker. For these teams that are running her around, it's crazy. Like, the real smart thing I think about that setup coming out of Secret was they had 2 pushing in from Aqua. You had Gonfi playing on Big Window. And at that exact moment, it was Kendry playing on the Finker, pulls out the Finker kind of the charge, the nanobots, whatever you want to call them. And they just push their way forwards. And they're all kind of, like, I'm watching it back now, and they're just sat there like, where are they? What's going on? It's almost like they expect to push to coming up 90 instead. And obviously, it doesn't play out that way. They weren't aware of the guy that was sat on the wall between sites that sprayed down the first planter, for example. It just looked like a very, not so much unprepared, but unawares round coming out of Secret. And on the side of Heroic, on their side, clearly no understanding of what was going on, because by the time they realized they were in sight, the plant was going down. They had 2 or 3 members crawling all over them. Just a very chaotic first round, and really reminding me of why I miss Consulate so much, Ace.
Looks like we're all smiles there in the secret camp. You like to see it. It's a lot of positivity, obviously, in there. It's, that's the first thing that they're going to need is that team spirit, is that, motivation to pull through. But the same can be said of Heroic, and you love to see it. It's, at the end of the day, we want to see these teams enjoying themselves as well. It is about getting in there, getting the wins and putting the points on the board. And this is just like the first game that we started off with, Des. That's something that we've not really mentioned so far. This game could be absolutely crucial come the end of Stage 3. We could be looking all the way back to this to see where decisions were made about who goes into those relegation spots and who doesn't. The points here are essential for both of these teams, and so it really is a big match for both of them.
You take a look, shall we? I'm very fortunate that I'm sat at home in front of a computer, back in my bedroom. I've got my 2 screens set up. You're in the studio with probably your tablet. There are many varieties available. The screen in front of you as well. So let's take a little rummage through it, shall we? And have a talk about these standings while we've got a little bit of time to do so. Because we know when we came to the end of Stage 2, there was a lot of interest around how things are bubbling up. At the minute, it's Heroic sat at the very bottom on 14 points. In 9th place, it's Team Secret on 18 points. And Rogue, with their win earlier on, have jumped ever so slightly ahead. They are on 19 points. The next team to them is Vitality, who are on 27. Unless there is some bizarre miracle where Rogue steamrolls through the stage, Secret and Heroic get a bunch of wins, Vitality don't get pulled into that battle. So realistically, Rogue, Secret, Heroic, 19, 18, 14 respectively, they're the 3 teams that you need to watch for in this stage. They're the ones that we'll be talking about week to week on who's going to get auto-relegated in 10th place or the team in 9th that faces off against the 2nd place Challenger League team.
I mean, as you've said there, 14 points for Heroic and 18 points for Team Secret at the minute. So 4 points separating them overall, and that just punctuates exactly how important this game is. If Heroic can get the win here inside of 12 rounds, that's 3 points for them denied from Team Secret. So straight away, before they even get further into the stage, they are only 1 point behind Team Secret then. So if they can just better them over the season in terms of those cumulative points collected by only 1 point, you start getting into a situation of head-to-head. You start getting into those battles, and Heroic can really drag themselves back into the race here. But if you look on the flip side of it, a loss tonight, that gives them an absolute mountain to climb. It puts them 7 points behind even getting away from the auto-relegation. That's just to lift themselves up into 9th place, to give themselves that battle, that chance of avoiding relegation. So absolutely huge matchup for Heroic tonight. We cannot put enough emphasis or focus on that.
I love how I had Wikipedia open and suddenly got blasted by an advert, and I was like, no, please, I'm casting.
Not like this.
Others get the advert. Not me. I don't get them here. Not now. It's unfortunate. We have still got 3 players who are waiting to get back into lobby. When they are back in, we will resume with round 2. If you're tuning in this late at night, especially in Europe, then welcome. Gather round. Secret taking round 1 so far. So you haven't really missed much. There's still plenty more to look forward to. And what do you think about that last game, Ace? Because Vitality BDS, a lot of people have been coming in, and I wanted to say this on Twitter, but I'll say it on air now where everyone can hear me, and it's going to be permanently on record. Every single stage or season coming into it, everyone is gassing up Vitality to the high heavens. They're like, oh, trust me, they're slamming people in scrims. They'll be one of the best teams in Europe. And then the season doesn't start the way that they'd like. It wasn't the most glamorous performance coming out of Vitality on Wager. It didn't look so clean, whereas BDS, they looked on another level going 7-2.
I expected it to be much more competitive. Realistically, I thought Vitality would make more of a fight of that. I was a bit surprised in their performance, but you can never legislate for BDS either. There were a few moments where players just took hold of rounds and absolutely ran away with them, and that's always going to happen against a side like BDS, and when it does, you know that you're in trouble, and Vitality certainly were. But I mean, my predictions, I'm having a nightmare tonight, Des. There's no getting away from that. I'm bang to rights. They're going to be on screen at the end of the night. I came in and I won't say that I was picking results that I hoped would happen, but what I wanted to see was a whole bunch of upsets tonight. I looked through and I thought, right, if G2 can get the win, Vitality come out strong. I thought if we can get these few sort of surprise results, these few upsets, it really sets us up for an absolutely dynamite stage 3 here here. And unfortunately, it's not really been the case. The strong teams have come out and looked very strong. Na'Vi, BDS looked very, very good. I think the one surprise in that area has probably been Empire, but they made a challenge of it against Kavana. Didn't quite get the result that they might have wanted. You know, props to Kavana as well. A great result for them, but it'd be good to see those guys have a good, you know, remember the stage 1 they had was fantastic, and then stage 2 went off the boil a bit. It'd be nice to see them bounce back.
No, I agree. And you're speaking about upsets. Of course, a bit of a war. So honestly, Ace, if we don't get cast together ever again after today, you understand why. I'm trying to put this on public record so everyone understands. I started a bit of a war about EPP in the Discord. There have been a lot of jokes about EPP over the day. And I went in there and asked, it could be a percentage, and that was it. There was total meltdown. It turns out the production team and Ubisoft had a big debate about this the other day, and I was like, right, have I just walked into a war zone now? It was hilarious, and I'm pretty sure Bruno, our wonderful producer, is sat there, grinding his teeth, reeling, his eyes are rolling in the back of his head. Like, don't you dare start talking about this now. But it was all good fun for sure. That EPP, by the way, we are doing a lot of content around it, as you may have heard Jess and Fresh say earlier on, that will explain it. Essentially 100, though, is a quick overview. 100 is the rating, the average of players from last stage based on a combination of kills, survival, cost, all kinds of stats thrown in the mix. So basically, if someone gets above 100 on their EPP at the end of a game, you know they've performed above average. Whereas if they're below, I'm back on camera now. Hi, guys. If they're below 100%, or not 100%, actually, yeah, if they're below 100%, I see you, Bruno, then it means they're performing below the average of everyone else. So that's one thing to consider when you see that at the end of the game. Above 100, very good. Below 100, not so good. It's easy.
I really like it as well, and the reason that I like it particularly is that 100, that sort of baseline, is then reset each stage. It's like refactored, so we have a look, and you know, whatever the average performance has been through that stage for the following stage, we can then reset that baseline, and then we'll get it as an average based on the previous stage. So it keeps it relevant, it keeps it nice and fresh and up to date, and I think it's going to work out very well. But working out very well is our game, Des. We're going to be heading back in. Woo! We've got everybody back in the lobby. Secret having taken the first round on attack of coastline, managed to get themselves in very aggressively, just basically route 1 straight through aquarium into hooker and billiards, and they just killed everybody in sight. Now Heroic, they're going to have to come out and do something different, and immediately, Des, that different is going to be Penthouse and Theatre.
Woo! I said at the very start of the game, I'd like to see a setup on this site, because Fresh called it out in the pre-show as well, so hats off to him on this one, with the reinforced wall now inside of VIP. Medics even, multiple medics here apparently. Let's take a look at that wall being reinforced inside of VIP. If you can deny this wall, you have so much more defensibility inside the trim. I love the 360, by the way. That's a real nice bit of flair. You electrify that off, for example, it can make this room so much easier to hold, and for a lot of teams, what they were doing for the longest time was opening up the triple wall almost entirely and playing long range from VIP inside of Penthouse onto the double window. The fact they've castled off this doorway suggests to me they do want to play inside here. They don't want to have someone coming and flanking them, and the little rotate hole they've got on the right-hand side of these set of 4 walls suggests they want to also play on 90. So you get the idea of the kind of hole they're trying to go for. It's why you've also got a shield there. You've got a bulletproof going down. Yes. This is the kind of interesting hold we were expecting to see. Yep,
2 deployable shields looking out towards luggage. There's an ADS just inside. If you just scoot upwards a little bit, thank you very much, medics. And a second ADS actually just behind the plant pot, so they're expecting potentially a lot of pressure coming in from the hooker side of things. A lot of those throwables maybe coming down there, and that could be pretty smart positioning of those ADSs as well, because obviously the first one is going to catch the first throwable, but because of the wall that's in front of the second one, it shouldn't get line of sight, so then it's going to still remain in place, and then the second throwable comes through and that gets picked up as well. Very, very nice thinking, nice little layout there, and we'll see whether the pressure comes on to 90 or not. That's the next question. Do Team Secret take a look at that, and do they play into it, or do they look to just circumvent it?
I mean, this is the reason why what you're seeing out of Secret now is such a good idea. Playing below, using nades. If you've got a buck on side, which they have here, you can do a lot of work from below, because what you normally have as a roam on the downstairs or a downstairs hold to start is being committed towards 90 and VIP. So they're kind of all roamed out or all extended out, and you'll start seeing a couple of freebies flying through like you're seeing just now. Grenades galore is the only way I can describe it. All 4 have now been consumed. They found Thunder, who ate 2 of those grenades. Not a bad start for the boys in blue. For Secret, now in a 5 versus 4. This is where they can start looking to press their advantage a little bit more. Another kill coming in for Sleben as a 5 versus 3 comes to life, and another EE1D scan comes out.
Thunder not having the most comfortable of starts in EUL here so far, has taken 2 early deaths at this point. Durza just holding an angle from 90 Corridor, and 90 Corridor at this point does feel like it's going to be a little bit of a last stand for Heroic, but it's maybe going to be a little bit too late as Sleben finds Chaoxis. That opens up the AP.
Okay.
VIP rather, and that's going to leave a real struggle for Heroic here as Secret are just mounting the pressure. They are absolutely surrounding Voy inside of sight. They've got the option now to keep him just wedged back inside of theatre. He's trying to use those vertical angles against them. It will be successful as he pulls out the pistol, gets one interesting use of the Vulcan shield, but it's not going to be successful as that final kill comes in, and that's Team Secret taking the second round on attack, and they are looking hot on coastline right now.
All that focus in VIP, the 90 hold, and Sleben just goes on big window and kills 3 people. Unlucky, I guess. It's a really good way of shutting it down as long as you can collect those kills, which he did quite comfortably. The second round in a row, by the way, in which Sleben got a 3K. So 2 massive rounds for Sleben, the superpower player. Let's see how Hookah and Billiards goes now. Back towards a more standard site as we saw in round 1. And hopefully here, no rush coming in against Heroic, because they showed they didn't really have the now to deal with that last time round. And here at least should be a bit more expectant of something crazy like that.
Secret showing that some things will never change on coastline, Des, and that is the power position of the double window in Penthouse. It's always going to be a nightmare when you've got somebody rappelling on the outside of there. They just hold down so many rotates. They can use those angles through into 90 Corridor that were intended to allow players to peek onto that window, and ultimately Sleben able to find his men time and time again. Now back to Hooker and Billiards we go. We're going to have to see something different from Team Secret, I think, this time. Last time it was 2 men straight into Aquarium, push through into Billiards and just start getting kills inside of sight. I don't think they're going to get away with that again. I would expect Heroic to set up against that. They should adapt. They should show that they're aware that that might happen. They need to be alive from second 1 in this round, and don't allow Secret such an easy opportunity to get themselves in Route 1 and start finding kills.
Absolutely. Well, let's see what their attempt is going to be. I mean, everyone's... Oh, please no. Guys, please. They're all rushing at the same place. I'm not going to say it's going to be a rush. I don't think it will be. It's more just where they're all choosing to spawn on here and push up from the north side. Last time around, they pushed Aqua. Good way to keep the other side guessing is to move over completely where you're going for. Number one concern, no one looking to push their way inside of Sunrise right now. So Chaoxis will be untested for the most part. It does mean that if they have a C4 player below, for example, or someone can rotate down, this could be an easy kill or 2 on the push in. So I expect that will change. And sure enough, here's one now looking to push inside a pool entrance, as they're aware that Chaoxis is trying to be a little bit of a troublemaker held up there in the corner.
I don't know if Durz has been picked up yet, but I tell you what, Keenan certainly has, as Chaoxis finds an easy headshot onto him as he strafes past that door. Doesn't even pre-fire into Sunrise and will pay the price for it. So for the first time, Heroic managed to get themselves a man advantage, but out comes the flash, but no push along with it. Of course, those flash changes in place now, and not quite being taken advantage of there as Gomfi just continues to hold on to that angle. He's going to wait for Chaoxis to make a move, but Chaoxis is very unlikely to at this point. There's absolutely no reason for him to start shifting around. Kendrew picks up a kill onto Durza. That's going to be a headshot onto the Vigil, and that is a big moment for Team Secret potentially, with that lack of predictability about what that operator's going to do. But yet again, in this round, Heroic managed to find themselves an advantage. 2 versus 1 now, as Blaz finds a headshot onto Kendrew.
Blaz getting the second from the same spot as well, pushing out from Aqua on the Oryx. 2 big kills coming his way that shuts down any kind of pace that this attack had from Team Secret. It's just Patbull left on the window, hoping that in the final minute and 15 seconds, someone is going to push into this sight line. Although realistically for the defenders, they haven't got to move anywhere, Ace. They can sit here and just wait and hold and wait for Patbull to make the move. After all, he's the attacker who needs to do something. So unless the guys on Heroic get a little bit too big for their boots and get a bit cheeky, I don't really see this one going wrong for them.
No, it's unlikely. It was the point I was about to make before the flurry of kills when we had Chaoxis led down behind the bar. There was just, you can hold the angle all day long, which Gomfi was trying to do, but Chaoxis isn't going to move. He's absolutely no reason to. He's just going to hold that down and prevent you from pushing in, and that's exactly what he did for about a minute and a half now. Packball getting himself towards Cool Vibes stairs, looking to move up there. He's going to have to find these kills. He's got a little bit of time still on his side, 32 seconds. Not sure if he's aware of the man playing hard left. He certainly is. He gets one. Can he make take this. Now then, takes an awful lot of damage. Blaz remains on full health, finds the kill as he peeks out. Headshot onto Packbull on the Cool Vibe stairs, and that's going to be Heroic taking their first round, and they need to use that as momentum now to power them into this game.
A bit dicey that it comes down to a 1 versus 1 when it has been so dominant for Secret in their 2-round win so far. But a round 1 is a round 1. And as you say, getting anything on the board, starting to get that momentum going is going to be absolutely critical. Let's see, though, how things change up when we go to a completely different site. Blue Bar and Sunrise going to be the choice, or the location of choice, for round number 4. We've seen Billiards twice and Theatre Penthouse the once. So Kitchen, the one currently being sidelined by both of these teams. I wonder why, because for attackers now, of course, you can't just plant inside of the service doorway. You need to go a little bit deeper inside. You have to expose yourself a little bit more. You think some teams will probably lean towards that and say, actually, maybe we do fancy giving that a go.
Sunrise and Blue Bar then, I would imagine is going to play out largely similar to the way that it did before. Any changes? There's no real reason for that to be any different. We're seeing the rotation opened up into Office, which is always an interesting one. Sometimes teams will double reinforce that, sometimes they'll open the rotation up. Now, if you open the rotation up, it means you need to play somebody inside of Office, or at least in a position to keep control over Office, because that is sometimes one of the attacking pushers. They'll try and get control of Office, push in through that wall and get a plant down behind the Blue Bar, but you're going to have to try and mitigate that here are Heroic and try and force Secret out towards a Sunrise-sided push, which would come through pool entrance and try to plant basically right next to the bomb chassis on top of the sofas. But it's essential for Secret to get themselves a couple of kills realistically before they can think about getting in there and getting the diffuser down.
Absolutely. Well, here we are then. First 15 seconds in, nothing special really worth shouting about just yet. Much of Secret gathering up on the south side. Patbull, the one being the isolated player up towards pool entrance, going to start working his way in from the north. The rest, I imagine, there will be some top floor control to focus on taking here. Now, fortunately, no one on the side of Heroic is playing upstairs. They are all playing down on the first floor. Not so much that Secret have recognised that yet. Drone work on the top floor, clearly not giving them that full all-clear message. But no doubt that will change in the next couple of seconds or so. Once they start realising that, as you can see, those breaching charges starting to come down on the floor. Kendry looking to expose this player that's hanging inside of Office.
Keenan, again, just trying to find an angle along with Sleben there, just trying to work away and clear that side out, because with that rotation open, it does give access reasonably easily into sight. So that's why we've got a focus from Team Secret in trying to get in there. Out comes the E1D scan, in goes the nade as well, and an aggressive push comes in from Secret as Sleben and Keenan look to get in and get that control over Office, which they have now done. The man Voy was forced out through security. Ooh, damage onto Packbull there as he tries to open up those vertical angles and apply pressure to the defenders inside of Sunrise. Keenan once again getting aggressive. Out goes the E1D scan and down comes that diffuser in exactly the point that we were talking about, and it looks like he's going to be successful. He does stick it and gets away with his life, even though he was breathing in lungfuls of that Toxic Babe canister. The kills, they start to rain in as Heroic react to this plant going down. They are on the back foot now as they need to find themselves a retake. Shut down. Durza trying to peek onto the aquarium balcony, gets absolutely nowhere, and it's 3 versus 2 now, and Heroic, they've got a job to do.
Trying to long arm it here as well. Thank you very much, Medic. Very much. Try and push him from one on the vertical. No, they won't stick it out. In he comes Keenan from Office. Blaz trades one back. Needs to find himself 2 more. Oh, the knife into the kill off the back of it, but he's got to stick this defuse. Packbull, you can't mess it up. You can't mess it up. Surely you can't mess it up, my buddy. No! He lets it go, and Heroic get the defuse off. Packbull. A little bit of slip of presence in the mind there, I think. Loses them the round.
What a play from Blaz on the Oryx there, just using the opposite side of the wall for cover so that Packbull would have a more difficult time from above of finding exactly where the man was disabling that diffuser from. You would automatically presume that they'd be inside of Blue Bar, but no, able to get the view because it was planted right on that threshold between the 2 rooms. It allowed him to disable it from inside of Office, and what a heads-up play there to get that one done and to level things up for Heroic. If this one goes to a Heroic win, we could be looking back on that moment and saying how pivotal it was.
I just love how the 2 rounds that Heroic have won have come down to a 1v1 between Blaz and Packbull, and Blaz has won both of them. One with a gun, one avoiding a gun, quite interestingly. Now, here's the execute you're looking for. The Ying coming out for Kendrew. This was banned away in the G2 versus Na'Vi game earlier on. Screams to me a very atypical sort of style that you see coming onto this site. Lots of vertical destruction coming out from the Buck and the Sledge. Looking towards the Ying, of course, with those Candelas and the Smokes also to assist with that. And the Lion has become increasingly popular, I think, over the last few months or so in Stage 2 and Stage 3. So far today, at least, we have seen it being picked up by a few teams. And it's almost like between the Thinker, the Lion, the DKB for a couple of teams that we saw in APAC yesterday, there is attention turning back towards those global buffs or global utilities that some operators bring.
Just going to have a good presence inside a penthouse and theatre potentially there as the hatch is reinforced, prevent any vertical angles, but it's the Vigil of Durza that's playing upstairs there. He's going to just try and wriggle away into the map and try and disappear off those drones particularly. That's the ability of Vigil, is to remove his visual signature from the drones. So he uses his little device, his cloaking device, and it will just remove him from those attackers' drones for a period of time. It'll show them a little white barcode top and bottom so they know that he is present at least. There you go, you get a little example of it down at the bottom. But it just makes it very difficult because if you know there's a Vigil in the area but you can't see exactly where, you got to go in and face check everything, and it can be very, very difficult because it's quite a wide range as well that he shows himself on the drones with that barcode, so it's difficult to really pinpoint him.
Absolutely. Trying to nail him down is going to be the difficulty. They've got that vertical control they were starting to look for, but Durza could be the spoiler. The little peek out spots, and they know the Vigil's lurking on his top floor. It does turn out to be the decoy as well, so that's a bit of a stinker. But how much damage can he really do? Finds one back. Sleben, the one now being dropped down. He's got a bit of fire support coming in from the teammate as well. Clearly, this team not wanting to give up control of this area. The problem is Secret are stepping in for 1 versus 1 after 1 versus 1. Keen is the next challenger. Will he win this one? No, he won't. Durza has had 4 1v1s and won every single one. You've got to start asking questions of Secret as to how you can let that happen 4 times in a row.
What a round from Durza there. Barely moved his feet inside of VIP. And as you say, it all started with that beautiful headshot onto Sleben just inside of the shower room, able to take him down. And from there, he was just fed and fed and fed. And ultimately, it's Durza to pick up the final. And that is the second ace that we've seen tonight, Des. It's been a bit of a big night for them.
Not going to complain too much, are you? Sleben, rounds 1 and 2, then seeing this one play out for Durza. I don't want to say the day of hero plays because it hasn't been all the way through, but there's definitely some names that when you look down the performances of today that are going to jump out at you. Milan in the game that we saw between VP and Rogue. We had Benja going nuclear in his game against Empire. We had Yonkasei's and Doki doing really good work in the game against G2. The names just really start to pile up, and they're not names that we're, any stranger to outside of Major Benja. It's the usual suspects doing great work for their team, which is always good to see. In this game, though, now at 2 and 3 for Secret, there's arguably a bit of work to do. They started so strong, 2 rounds going their way. Admittedly, a double 3K coming out of Sleben really helping them on the way there, but since then, it has been all heroic.
It's going to be the final defensive round for Heroic now. Back to Hooker and Billiards. We've seen them 50-50 so far. They lost it back in round 1 with an aggressive rush from Secret coming in and catching them by surprise. But round 3, they were able to head back there and get it locked down. Now, also, interestingly, Heroic have won the last 3 rounds. They've won them in a row, so they're carrying some great momentum here. We've got Thunderbird brought along. We're going to see those corner stations just getting placed in a few strategic locations. No surprise to see it at the top of Cool Vibe stairs there, one in behind bar. And what these stations are going to do, they work on a radius basis, so it's not just any defender. Any player that runs within that set radius will receive a shot of health from that corner station. And then it'll be on a cooldown, and after a period of time, you'll be able to run through it again and get another shot. But they've got to be very careful because, of course, the attackers can use that as much as the defenders can. But being careful is something that Pikebull might want to think about as he gets taken out in the first 15 seconds here. That is a big loss with the buck gone as well. There's going to be no option for moving in underneath and clearing out any of that soft floor to get some vertical angles, and that is a big start. And we can see there just the health coming back to Voy. Takes some damage, but then that corner station just going to juice him back up.
Just ticks back over, absolutely. It's so valuable if you're a roamer, for example, or someone who wants to keep on taking those exchanges, of course. Can't quite heal from a headshot, but a lot of body shots, you can absolutely deal with that. And I feel like I'm stepping back into APAC, seeing a line and a thinker at the same time. It has been a long time since we've seen those two paired together.
It really is. As you say, we do see Finker quite regularly, but we're going to see Finker planting here as Kendrew gets in and starts to put that diffuser down, but he's going to have to dip away as he takes an awful lot of damage. Gomfi manages to find one onto Thunder, who continues to be quiet so far here inside his first EUL matchup. It's 4 versus 3 though, as Heroic managed to just hold on to things here and once again just battle back against Secret and force them out. Kendrew taking a lot of damage. He does replace some with that Finker ability. The nanobot's just improving his HP ever so slightly, but I tell you what, Blaz is having absolutely none of it. Doesn't matter how many HP Kendrew's got to his name, he manages to find the kill, and that leaves us now 4 versus 2, and Heroic from almost nowhere in the first 2 rounds, they're heading for a 4-2 half.
It's amazing swing back, isn't it, right? And a 1 versus 4 for Gomfi. Sorry, but don't quite see this one being clutched out by him. There's still an opportunity. There is still 60 seconds to play. And that's what I love about these two teams. Every single round back and forth has been lightning quick. Inside, 90 seconds, there's a plant going down. There's an execute taking place. It's fast. It's visceral. I love seeing it. But as it stands right now, Heroic are the ones that have snowballed the last 4 rounds. Secret go on to defense. And they're going to have to do something special here, Ace.
Unsurprisingly, Team Secret take the choice to have a little time out and just try to slow things down, break up the momentum of Heroic. But it's interesting because, of course, on the analyst desk, Jess and Fresh particularly picked up on the fact that we might see, a little bit more favour for the defenders on coastline now as things have changed up a little bit and it might be a little bit more difficult on the attack to get everything done that you need to. And we've certainly seen that through the second 2/3 of the half there. So it might be the same when Secret go onto the defence themselves, and this could be the perfect bit of punctuation, the perfect comma in the sentence of this game to just slow things down before they head in and change things up.
Looking at the lineup currently being hovered over, by the way, we've got Zero potentially coming out for Void, which would be quite exciting if that does get itself locked in. Bit of a change between the two teams, never a bad thing. And Zero, a few teams around the world have really tried to make him work. Dark Zero did for a time. Mantis did over, of course, in APAC. We haven't really had a big Zero-wielding team so far in EU, now that I think about it. Haven't really seen it, and I can't think of any that jump to mind for LATAM either. One of those operators that I think, like many would say, kind of has his place and is useful, but not enough that he would kind of be a mainstay. And I'll give that to Ubino while we're here as well. Think about Aruni, also one of those operators that you don't see every single round, but has got a place in the meta. Another one of those that I feel can be used in the right situation or in any by the right team. Just gives a bit of variation to what certain teams can run, and they start to form those unique identities of what it is they like playing.
It does, it's nice, and you pick up on Zero there, and he's certainly the possibility there of being a very powerful operator just because it's intel based and we know how important information is in Siege. If you can get an accurate location on somebody, you're going to win that gunfight 9 times out of 10. So those cameras could be oppressive, but they seem to have just been balanced really well, and the way they're deployed, they do tend to get picked up and shot out. It's not too often that they survive for too long. They've only got a single electrical shock, so it's not like you can put them in there and just start taking out electronics all over the room. You can do it on one key piece of equipment, which we do see sometimes as an alternative to Thatcher, for example. But because of that, it's just pretty well balanced. We don't see it too much, but we do see it occasionally. And I'm always fascinated to see the use of those SAM cams, and we'll keep an eye on it and see just exactly what information maybe they gain from it in this round.
Always like seeing a cap can as well. Just slows teams down that otherwise might be quite pacey, and against Heroic, a team that do like to blitz their way through teams. Spoke about that Amaru ban being specifically targeted against them. Capcan's one of those that as soon as you know there's one trap on the map, you know there's 4 others that you need to be trying to deal with. So I like at the very least that it's going to, cause Heroic to have to drone something once or twice, or have to check every doorway they push their way in through. Here they go inside of Aqua, very much on a secret S push. They're just going to steamroll their way into sight, and Thunder gets hit by 1. They're going straight in for a fast plant here, Ace.
And they're going to get shut down just as fast as Kendrew hits Thunder with the Nitro, and his wars continue here. The diffuser is now down cold in sight. At least it's in the correct spot, but they're going to have to deal with Keenan, who is underneath as well, with, guess what, a Nitro in hand. So they could find themselves on the receiving end of another denial here if they're not careful. Blaz finds his second kill of the round, taking down Kendra in what is essentially a very late trade-off there for the man who managed to get the Nitro kill to prevent the plant going down. But I think that was one of those Sam cams just getting taken out. There is another active to feed information in. Voy using that information himself to know that the man was coming from the top of Cool Vibes. And what a great example we got of the use of those cams there. Packbull, he's going to have to be alert here. I think that's a Gemini clone. It will be. And taken down. But they now know Packbull's location. Heroic need to start thinking about just how they're going to get this diffuser back and think about getting it planted.
Beautiful attempt on the nade bounce, but didn't quite connect. Gonfi, the one to find Voy, as the 3 versus 3 comes into effect again at the 90-second mark. These rounds are so quick because the teams are so keen to try and catch each other off guard without much prep, which is what makes me nervous. That was the last smoke canister, so now they've got to go for the push. Packbull finding one back, steps out for the other, will connect onto Blaz. It's basically Durza in a 1 versus 2, but Packbull comes back out with the shotgun and gets the connect. Secret take the round.
Perfect play from Packbull there. It was absolutely essential as well. They needed to get the man off that double window, was exactly what he did, and then stepped out, got himself a second, and then the round really fell apart for Heroic from there. Secret getting a first successful defense, and that is really going to give them some momentum back here. I think they'd lost 4 rounds in a row, and now that's the perfect time to win one. It's your first defensive round. You get in there, you win it, and you think, right, we're on defense now. We can do this. We can turn this around. It was just the fact that we were on attack. It's no problem. We're going to come in and win some more sites here. So the second site they will be picking up is kitchen and service. Now then, a lot of this was won from upstairs last time, if you remember, Des. There was Durza inside a VIP. They just could not move him from in there. We'll see if Secret have the same sort of focus on that area.
I mean, there's a conversation to be had about taking 4 separate gunfights against one person who has barely moved his feet, right? I'm not sure you're going to see the same sort of effect. I imagine there will be some vertical presence. We are very used to seeing it when defending this site. To what level is going to be the big question. But I think given there aren't really too many must reinforce walls on this site, you can commit, for example, 2 up towards that double wall upstairs. Although here, I think, is there a couple going in towards Blue and Sun? Yes, there is. Okay. So maybe there's a hole going out inside of Sunrise instead of going vertical.
Heading in towards the action phase of round number 8 then. There's going to be some, as you say, some definite attention downstairs. We've got the sort of leg holes, if you will, in the blue bar wall. That allows challengers to come through from main reception, so you can get some extremely long angles for the defenders there. If the presence starts to mount inside of Office and Sunrise, which is certainly a possibility, onto a kitchen push. We've already got it coming through there, so as soon as they try to transition, if there is somebody playing in main reception for the defenders, which I would expect if we've opened the holes up, there's not much point opening them to not play them, and I think that's why Blaz is moving through in that direction.
He's having a game so far as well. I mean, let's not forget Sleben does have 6 more kills to his name as well. So currently he and Blaz, assuming Blaz got none in the first couple of rounds, are currently sat as the kill leaders in this game. And for Blaz, I think it's the kind of fear with Heroic as a team, even before, obviously, of course, the roster doesn't really change. Oh, what a flick was that, Keenan? Holy hell. That was something special. That definitely deserves a nice shot. Holy hell.
Certainly does. He was very aware of the man coming.
Took my voice with him on that flick, Christ.
It was scary stuff as the man moved across from his left, but Chaoxis manages to level things up, and this is something that Heroic have done well. It's not too often that Secret have managed to get themselves and keep themselves a serious man advantage. Heroic always seeming to find themselves a frag or two to get themselves back into it. Now, the push is coming in through security. Are they aware of the man? Absolutely are. Blaz moves around with a nice pre-fire. Gonfi never standing a chance there. Absolutely getting removed from this round. 4 versus 3 now, but we've got Voy on very low health on the side of Heroic. They've got control over main lobby largely. They need to deal with Packbull still. He could be a thorn in their side. He's just looking to peek out of that bathroom door, but not going too badly at the moment. Interested to see how that cap can comes into play though.
Well, as always, it's about the slowing down of those trying to aggress their way forward. So they've got to check every single door, for example. What I do like is it's been a slightly slower round. It hasn't been that mad burst in at 90 seconds that descends into absolute chaos. What I am nervous about is Keenan. He was the one who hit that wicked shot not too long ago, and he's been ignored out towards the west side. He's free to move wherever he wants. It's Kendra on the top floor. Oh my God, man. Get himself out the window and finds one. Finally gets himself shut down by Chaoxys. But Chaoxys and Void have got not a lot between them. Very little health on Void, but he will find the kill regardless. It's all down to Keenan. Sees the man on the window, gets the injury, but now he's down to about 5 HP. It's basically a 1 versus 1. Chaoxys has got to find his man. Walks into a cap can trap. We spoke about the mace. That could be the difference maker.
It could. It's made that gunfight much more winnable for Keenan now, who is on low health himself. And Chaoxys, he's going to have to do something. He looks to try and put the diffuser down. He could just be trying to bait the challenge out here, but there you go. I wasn't too sure how keen Keenan was to go in and take that challenge given his low health, but he sees the angle, he sees the man, the arm is all he needs, and he makes the shot down the side of the bomb chassis and closes out another round for Team Secret to level it up. And right now, that gives them 2 successful defences in a row. And if they can continue chaining these together, get Blue Bar Sunrise, rinse and repeat that rotation of sites, they could well be on their way to a victory.
We've seen like a 2-4-2 bounce back so far. First 2 rounds to Secret, 4 to Heroic, now 2 for Secret. If we carry on down the same trend, then really you're looking for maybe 4 rounds in this half coming out of Secret to take us on through to overtime. But that was a massive round coming out of Keenan from that first wicked flick that he hit down to that closing 1 versus 2 that he pulled off. They're the kind of rounds that can really, really count. Now we get Sunrise and Blue Bar for the side of Secret. With those 2 rounds being won, this is arguably one of their weaker sites that we're now stepping into. So if anywhere's going to be won for Heroic, it's going to be here.
That flick from Keenan just being shown again in slow motion there. I think it's also worthwhile just reminding everybody of what is at stake here. When we look towards relegation at the end of Stage 3, we'll look cumulatively at the points gathered by these teams across all 3 stages. And the way that stands at the minute is Heroic in last place, 10th, bottom of the table with 14 points. Team Secret are in 9th, second from bottom, and they have 18 points, so there is 4 points separating these 2 teams at the minute. And the big difference there is that the team in 10th place is automatically relegated. First place from Challenger League, automatically promoted. The 9th place at least have the opportunity to fight second place in Challenger League for that EUL spot. So at the minute, Heroic, if they can get the win here in regulation time, it brings them to within 1 point of Team Secret. And the chase is really on at that point. You feel like over the next 8 games, it's definitely doable for them. But if Secret get the win here, that gap opens up to 7 points. And that is more than 2 clear wins. To put that into perspective, Heroic would need to win 2 games in regulation time where Secret lose their games to even get close to them. It doesn't even allow them to surpass them. So it's not going to be easy for Heroic if they lose here.
It's like your round 8s in games, Ace, that you love talking about so much.
It is.
When it's 4-3, you know, a round win gets it to 4-4 or 5-3, in which case you're 1 away from potential match point. It's just terrifying as well. Not match point, but towards overtime. That's one of the ones you have to be wary of. So I agree with you. It does come down to this game. We've all said it today. This will be the game that determines ultimately how spicy that relegation fight is going to be. Let's see, though, how this one plays out. That opening kill onto Void, a great one coming out for Secret. And at least managed to, for now, hold them at bay away from Office. The question is, how long can they do that for?
The pressure maybe just starting to tell a little bit onto Heroic here as Secret continue to find opening kills. They continue to find rounds here, and you just have the feeling that that is not going to stop anytime soon. Chaoxys tries to move in with the E1D scan, but Sleben, he's not being surprised by that. He knows exactly what's coming. He waits for the moment that the scan stops and he steps out and he takes his shot, knowing that the man has likely pushed in behind that scan shut down. And we've got another down and out as Kendrew finds the kill onto Durza, leaving us now 4 versus 2 as Blaz starts the fight back, but you just get the feeling that it's going to be too little too late here from Heroic.
I mean, don't count Blaz out. You know what he can be like when he can hit shots like that as well. Down to a 3 versus 2. It is him and Thunder, so if you really want to be critical, you might say it's basically a 1 versus 3 for now. Thunder yet to find himself away onto the scoreboard, whereas everyone else in the game has sat at least 4 to date. Now being held back by these smokes, steps forward again, sees the man stepping into the side of the breach, but not enough to be able to put him down. Blaz down to a slither of HP, and he sorely needs the support. Keenan could find himself threatened out here, full flashed out, but I think Thunder in the process flashed himself too, steps around for the fight, gets the down, and will be able to convert the kill, but Blaz gets pokeballed. It's a 1 versus 2 for Thunder, and as they say, lightning doesn't strike twice.
Thunder is on about half health as well, moves through the Banshee, being restricted there, has the diffuser and the option to put it down, will try to do so. Packbull and Gomfi, plenty of health left, and probably aren't really going to mind this diffuser being successfully planted. They'll just take the challenge afterwards. There you go. Gomfi on the retake, moves in, gets the kill, and will be able to disable the diffuser with plenty of time left to spare. That's going to be Team Secret taking the lead here, 5-4, and with this momentum, Des, I'm not too sure if Heroic even get another round out of Coastline.
You can see the potential, right? You've seen Blaz and what he can do in a couple of these rounds. We've seen it out of Durza when he got the ace. It's always been my biggest criticism of Durza is that he's not a super consistent player. He'll have 2, maybe 3 rounds a map where he pops up and gets himself a 3 or a 4K and basically wins the round for his team. But when it comes down to consistency, you don't really get that in anyone except Blaz. And even then, on some days, Blaz just doesn't turn up to the races. It's a very weird and sporadic team, which I think is why teams hate playing against them, is not just that their strats often unpredictable, but the performances of their players also end up being unpredictable sometimes. And sadly, at the minute, it's not looking super hot for Heroic. 3 rounds on the bounce they've now lost after a 4-round win streak. Secret, the ones in that commanding position to get this one over the finish line, and they now get to go back to Hookah and Billiards, the site where it all started, back in round number 7 with a win.
And right now, you just wouldn't put any money against them not winning it again. It feels like almost an inevitability at the minute. Secret looking much more comfortable on defence, and it's not too much of a surprise for a team that has undergone a change. We've had Kendrew move in, and we know that he's going to be fulfilling, somewhat of an IGL role within the team, I would expect. And, there may be other contributors to that as well, but that is generally what we see from Kendrew, and he's very good at it, but it is going to take time to settle that down. And when you get on the defence, we said it about Rogue earlier as well, you get on the defence, you know exactly what you want to do. The questions are more asked of new teams on the attack when you've got to adapt to what's in front of you. You've got to problem solve. You've got to change things on the fly. Here, Secret are looking very, very comfortable now. But as I say that, it's that man again, Des. It's Blaz. He is the one shining light for Heroic right now. They need a hero, and they're looking towards Blaz.
He's got to be the man for them. I mean, he's already at 14-5, plus any kills that he collected in those first couple of rounds prior to the rehost. Sorry, back in round 1 before the rehost. So if this carries on, could be a big map for him, as it was for Benja earlier on in the Kavana versus Empire game. Holding out inside a courtyard, just got this cheeky angle up to the second floor from inside of the courtyard itself, daring someone to step their way out across that quad wall, because if they do, they'll be chewing them a new one. But I think Packball, for now at least, will hold firm. The ping coming in suggests to me that they know that's a potential risk point and don't want to find themselves exposed to it.
Packball's played a smart game so far. We've seen a number of times that he's been in the right place at the right time to be able to shut down pushers and to be able to make life difficult for Heroic. And as you can see, we're continuing with that trend at the minute. He's not getting overly aggressive here. He takes a little bit of information. Just as I'm saying it, he gets overly aggressive. Thunder just having every advantage there against an SMG, almost always going to win that fight, and he does. Finds himself his second kill of the day, and that's going to give Heroic a serious advantage here. 5-2 inside of the round. They need to start thinking about getting in there, making the numbers pay, getting that diffuser down on the ground and closing this one out.
They should be, yeah. The 5 versus 2, there's no excuse to be throwing this one away. Gomfi on the swing, misses his man and dies anyway. Durza collecting that kill, and Sleben with a slither of HP, not going to be able to do anything. Heroic out of nowhere with a flawless round.
Exactly what they needed, I think. That just halts the tide, the onrush that was coming in from Secret there. Ends their run at 3 consecutive rounds, and it leads us into a guarantee of seeing all 12 regulation rounds. It wouldn't surprise me for a second, Des, to see ourselves go into overtime for, what will it be, the 3rd time tonight? 2nd for us, 3rd overall. It's been a busy old night for those overtimes, and right now there's very little to separate these two teams, and no surprise, they've been like that, pretty much contesting each other's positions in the league throughout the first 2 stages, and it continues as hot as ever here.
Alrighty, kitchen serve is going to be where we step into then once again. Saw that just a couple of rounds ago. Well, not really a couple, a bit more than that now. It's back in round 8 where Secret walked away the victors. That was more down to, I think, a questionable plan coming out of Chaotix, to be completely honest with you. Had the full run-of-the-mill inside a service, but opted to push inside a kitchen, where he knew his teammate had just been down. Maybe was afraid of the rotate. Maybe wanted to be in range to be able to take the challenge onto Keenan. I'm not entirely sure. But clearly, it didn't work out too well for them. There's kind of been a few rounds in this game, really, that I look at and just think, man, if those had gone ever so slightly different, if the small single decision had been made, 3 seconds prior, or to plant on a different site, or to not take that gunfight, we could be looking at such a different scoreline right now. It's been so back and forth and down to the wire between both.
And you'll have to see it. That is exactly what we turn up for. I said it back in game number 1. That's what I hope for throughout stage 3. I want to see games go the distance. I want to see teams push and test and try each other and just really force the others to win it. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see teams being able to come in and just pick up those easy points. We want everybody tested to the max here. Keenan almost tested from the pool door there, but manages to keep himself in behind the bar, and the shots do not come in for the time being. Chaotix is looking to push into that main entrance once again. He wasn't quite so successful last time around. Slebin able to pick him up from the bathroom, but we'll see if that occurs again if he tries to push in behind that EE1D scan.
Cheeky upside down rappel as well on pool entrance there, just praying someone steps into that line of sight. But as we always say, it's really the attackers that have to be making the moves. The defenders can afford to just sit and wait for you to make the move and then capitalise off the back of it. And here comes Blaz. He's like he's just got the sledgehammer of his own and come charging in through the wall and wants to challenge. He don't want to hold no angles. He wants to gunfight off the bat. Skeleton key in hand, but gets the assist coming in from Durza out towards the hallway, and they do manage to secure and shut down Keenan.
It looks like Heroic might have just found some late game energy here that could push them towards a potential win, but Kendrew, he says not just yet as he gets in and finds a kill onto Voice. Leben looking to get aggressive from the Cool Vibe stairs, but thinks better of it and just dips himself away. Now Durza using those nades to try and pick up a vertical kill, but won't be able to, just misses the mark a little bit. 4 versus 4 at the half round. Secret able to absorb the pressure that Heroic looked to apply early in the round, and they've now found themselves in the second half with plenty of manpower to be able to close this one down.
And they've still got top floor control as well, so this isn't really a threat to the side of Secret yet. They can still play on the top floor, they can test those vertical angles, they can watch the one as you saw onto the window. They'll know that there's some pressure coming in now inside of Sunrise because they lost Durza inside of there to 2 members pushing in. They know that this is going to be an angle, so they need to be adapting to this and being aware of what's coming next.
And here comes the rush. Durza moving into sight. We've got support with him as well as Thunder starts to get that diffuser down. Packball finds the first, but Blaz answers back. 3 versus 3. Sleben stuck inside a VIP and shut down by that man Blaz once again. Thunder finds a kill, goes to get the diffuser down. Gomfi, he is the last hope for Team Secret here, and it's going to have to be a retake. 1 versus 2. He needs to find these kills, and he's not going to, as Chaotix on that main door shoots him in the back, shuts him down, and closes things out for Heroic, who once again find themselves back in the lead and now have an opportunity to close this out for the 3 points that they so desperately need here in EUL Stage 3.
It's like a yo-yo up and down, isn't it, right? It's not like there's one random round that they're winning, but it's actually starting to chain multiple of them together. 2 for Secret, 4 for Heroic, 3 for Secret, now 2 for Heroic. It's just so back and forth between the two. Heroic with a golden opportunity to close that gap because, again, as a reminder, Heroic currently are 4 points behind Secret in the overall standings. They win this game in regulation, that gap reduces down to 1, and then it all comes down to how both teams perform against other teams throughout the season. It could not get much closer.
It really couldn't, and the next 3 minutes are going to be very telling as we move into our final round. Secret, they need to apply the brakes here. They've got a runaway train heading right for them, and they've got to find a way of stopping it because Heroic have picked up the last 2 rounds and have just started to look like a different beast on the attack. They've been finding the entry kills. They've been managing to double down, keep themselves in that man advantage throughout the round, and they just seem to have had the answers to all the questions that Team Secret have been asking, and there's certainly been no secret strategies that have been able to keep them out of those key locations.
10 seconds to go.
What about these roamers as well and the damage and trouble that they can cause, right? more of the, it's just not really such a roam on the bottom side here, just opening up a couple of rotates. But the thing is about Coastline is you can play the entirety of the map. It's not a massive map. Sure, it's square, there's quite a lot of ground to cover, but it is all quite tightly packed around that central courtyard. It looks almost like a square donut, as I used to describe it before. It isn't too hard to get from one place to the other, and sure, the map changes have reduced it slightly. Thank you very much, Medics. You can get a good view of this very non-appetizing donut. I don't really think one that's all grey and, I don't know, not really the sort of thing I'd fancy in my lunchbox, needless to say, Ace. But it's more that you can play around the extent of the map. You can hide away in little rooms. It's quite easy to fall back, but also potentially quite easy for the attackers to foot off those rotates. Sleben finding Blaz, that is the player that you want to shut down. We keep on speaking about Blaz and his impact. Sleben's been very quiet since that rehost. He's been on 6 kills now for 6 or 7 rounds. Finally gets himself back involved.
Really big play from Sleben there. It is exactly the entry that Secret needed. If they could have picked any individual to take out of this heroic team, I'm sure it would have been Blaz. But another one that's had a good couple of rounds is Chaoxis. Once again, just working his magic from that main reception door, shutting the man down and leveling things up. That's going to be Sleben in a late trade, taken out. 4 versus 4 now, and pressure about to mount into that main lobby area. Voy on a upside down rappel on the DJ booth there, looking to use that kitchen window, but just very aware of the potential for a peek coming out of pool entrance as well. So the attack here is mounting towards Sunrise and Blue Bar. It's not kitchen. You could be forgiven with all the utility that's in there for thinking that it was, but no. Heroic are looking to clear it out and to move themselves through to use those angles from kitchen to get aggressive towards site. And Chaoxis aware of the man in 90, but just misses by a fraction.
Doesn't see his head, I don't think, at the right time. It's more of a spray, and sees the man also run across. So now they're aware of where he's pushing from. Good bit of information being fed back across over to the defenders. Heroic now looking to push things forward in that 4 versus 4 in the final 60 seconds. This is what it's all going to come down to, because let's not forget, they are trying to push in towards Sunrise and Blue, and rather than going in through office where they've gone prior, this is looking to go towards the north side. Diffuser is down outside pool entrance with that kill coming in. So options are a bit scattered now. You've got 2 members of Heroic out to the east, Diffuser up towards the northwest, and only really one man, Voy, that can pick that up and look to push forward himself. It's a big ask, I think, for Heroic, especially in the final 35 seconds, but we'll see, Ace.
I think Secret are probably feeling reasonably comfortable at this point in time with the angles they've got and the map possession. They're not really being disrupted at all now. Heroic seem to have stalled out. You can almost feel the sort of lack of ideas from them on this one. They've just got to a point where they just don't really know how and where to push onto this Secret side. 15 seconds left to go. The E1D scan will not support any further push from Heroic, really. Voy tries to step in, but Packbull's got his number, shuts him down. Durza finds one, but surely it's too little too late. Kendrew Packbull close it out, and we are going to overtime.
Of course we are, Ace. Of course we're going to overtime. 2 of our 3 games today going all the way through the stretch. The second game of the day, the 8-7. It makes for a really exciting season knowing that teams can be so close. I mean, admittedly, if you were to pair, for example, Heroic up against Na'Vi, I can't imagine you get a close game. But I imagine looking at between the team matchups we've seen today, there is quite a lot of closeness being established between them, which is always thrilling. It's going to be Secret starting off on the defensive side, kicking things off inside of Kitchen. Let's keep a very close eye on this one and how it plays
16 and 7 for Blaz right now, having an absolutely standout performance, and almost single-handedly the reason that Heroic have made it here to overtime. But they certainly have looked good for it as well. Both of these teams deserving of something out of this game, and that's exactly what they're going to receive. The winner will now take 2 points away, and the loser will take 1. It's sort of a double-edged sword for Heroic. If they do take the loss here, at least there's only then 1 point that they fall further behind. So instead of 4 points, there'll be 5 points down, and all of a sudden that 2 wins then becomes enough to get them ahead of Secret. But on the flip side, if they get that win, it doesn't bring them quite as close to them anymore. It will leave them then only 3 points behind.
Bit of a lean back towards what we saw from Secret in their attacking half. That Ying coming out for Durza. Mildly excited to see this one in use. They are one of the teams that historically would have used this kind of thing to go for big executes and big flashy plays. pun not intended, of course, about the Candelas in that case. But in absence of things like the Amaru, it can be their go-to selection. Let's see where the Shin goes. It'll be a big focus on whether or not Durza stays alive throughout the majority of the round as well. He gets picked off early. It removes that big element of their attack they were looking for. And already, all gooning up on this doorway, they're going to go for a rush ace.
Certainly looks that way. In goes the Candela, but they've got to rush deeper, Des. You've got to remember the boundaries of this site have changed now, and you've got to go deeper in to get the diffuser down. And as they do so, all they find is a hail of bullets. Gomfi, Kendrew, Sleben finding kills. Secret 4 versus 2 right now, and what an advantage they've just found themselves. It's almost as if Heroic just threw themselves into the flames there, into the jaws of the beast, hoping that it wouldn't be able to clamp down on them, but Secret certainly found a way, and now it is advantage to them. And Heroic, they're going to have to dig deep here. They're going to have to find something special if they want to take this first overtime round.
I can't decide if it's Coastline I hate or the way that some teams play it. They clearly didn't drone that player out on the south side of service. If they did, that would have been their first point of challenge. You don't just ignore a guy sat there, and he got the big shutdown onto Durza they were looking for. They lose 3 members because they didn't have the information. Not a good attack coming out of Heroic. Very much a Hail Mary, as you described it, Ace. A 4 versus 2 with 90 seconds still to play. It's another one of those really scrappy, fast rounds that you're not quite sure which way it'll go at the time. But I think now we're in that 4 versus 2. Unless Blaz and Chaoxis, who have had a brilliant second half to this map, can pull out something big, it should be Secret going up to map point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit like trying to face down a lion and thinking if I jam my head far enough into its mouth, maybe it won't be able to bite me, you know. So, but unfortunately, they found out the hard way that it definitely could still bite them, and that's exactly what Secret did there. I mean, you know, I joke with that. Rushes do work sometimes. We do see it happen if you catch them unawares, but the point is that Secret were absolutely alert to that possibility, and especially with now having to push further into service, it just made it that bit more difficult for Heroic. But Blaz once again being the man to give them that glimmer of hope, Des, but the glimmer is quickly extinguished as Sleben finds the kill onto the man himself. The headshot onto Blaz leaves Chaoxis with 37 seconds to go. He's on the Lion. He has got no scans available. He's just going to go in here and try to find his kills. 30 seconds left to go. 1 versus 3.
It's just one of those, again, where for Chaoxis, he's got to go big, and this is the round to do it. But something just tells me it's quite simply not going to happen. There's nothing really on the side of the defenders here to use as utility to keep him at base. It will come down to gunfights. The swing comes through. Kendry misses his shots. Chaoxis is still on full HP, but there's 10 seconds still to go here. And something tells me this one is not going to get over the finish line.
Chaoxis there choosing to maybe take the time to try and just refocus the team. He's not going to get those final kills. I don't know if it was maybe just trying to catch Secret by surprise, bust in with 2 seconds left to go and just catch them sitting on the hands. I don't know exactly what the thought process for Chaoxis was there, but he needed to find something and he couldn't. So Secret take the first round of overtime and they get a match point opportunity to close this one down. Now, of course, overtime being a best of 3 rounds, Secret now have 1. They only need a second.
Just one of that beautiful, again, flicks in this game. A 180 flick at the very end as well to collect that closing kill. As you mentioned for Secret, getting these 2 points would be massive. The same story for either team. And really, we've kind of got the least polarizing outcome in this game as well, because we keep on speaking about, Secret get 3 points. They're 7 points ahead. Surely Heroic can't catch them. If Heroic win and get 3 points, there's only 1 between them. The one outcome we didn't really discuss all that much was if it goes through to overtime, because the impact then is dampened quite a lot. And I think if nothing else, leaves us asking more questions coming out of the day than we entered with, to be honest with you, Ace. It's going to be one of those seasons where it will come down to the wire on that final day, now that both teams walk away with at least 1 point in this game.
It is, I honestly think in terms of, as a viewer, I think an overtime result wasn't really the end of the world for this matchup, because it keeps things tight one way or another. Even if Secret wins this, there is still only 5 points between these 2 teams, and so if Secret slip up on a couple of weeks and Heroic are able to pick up wins on those weeks, then they are straight back into the mix and could easily leapfrog Team Secret. It could be a big ask for Heroic to find those wins, but as the season progresses, as the stage continues, Thunder settles in a little bit more, who knows, we might just see them being able to pick up those points. So I think in terms of, that broad sense of the league, then yeah, great, it keeps keeps it competitive and it keeps us guessing, whereas a straight-up Secret win might have just killed that fight off a little bit with 7 points in between. But right now, Secret are going to be looking to find that win, get themselves the 2 points and at least give them the 5-point buffer that I'm sure they'll be fairly confident should they receive.
Hatball being a smidge hopeful there with that pistol spray through big window, hoping that someone walks past at the perfect time. And Kendrew almost catching the Oryx there on the retreat through, who dashed through, and Blaz realised, I think, that he got away lucky in that case. Did take a couple of shots, as is Chaoxis. That could have been 2 members from Heroic removed very early in the round just by, standard spawn, like pre-firing away through different windows or walls that you can choose. Fortunate to not find themselves going down too early into the round.
Voy just looking to be on that top floor roam for the time being, but it looks like Sleben might just be aware of his positioning there. Keenan's going to use an E1D scan, but there's not too much of a push to accommodate and to take advantage of that. Now, Durza, we've seen him be successful inside a VIP previously, not for a hooker and billiards hold, it's fair to say. That was for a kitchen hold, but nonetheless, he certainly knows his way around the room. Now, out goes the nade, doesn't catch the man. There was obviously some information there as to his position, but just misses by a few feet there. A lot of damage done to Thunder, and that's going to be Chaoxis chipped away at as well, and Heroic taking a lot of little chips of damage along the way here with absolutely nothing returned to Team Secret.
Nothing just yet, no. It's one of them ones that I look at and just think this has been arguably the most peaceful round of the map, by the way. We're down to 1 minute and 10. Not a single player is dead. Sure, a few blinking health bars along the way, which we'll be keeping a close eye on. On the side of Secret, everyone's still currently sat at full HP, though. It's now Secret starting to make their way inside of Aqua. They're looking not so much for a big rush through, but they are looking to get a shift on here. Final 60 seconds, drones coming through, something that Heroic missed in the last round that we spoke about. But this man downstairs, there's no C4s on side, going to be praying for a bit of blind spray, I imagine, onto the default plant spot when it comes through.
Sleben gets Thunder to open things up. We've got one Toxic Babe canister that has been deployed, but once that dissipates, there will be no further, because it is the smoke, of course, that lost his life in that first battle. Gonfi looking to take on Aruni, but it's actually going to be the Vigil that loses his life to Sleben. Gonfi comes back for more and gets exactly what he's looking for with a kill onto Voy. Blaz gets one, traded immediately by Packbull, and this has become a slippery slope for Heroic here, and they are on a slide to oblivion as Secret managed to find that final kill. They don't need to put the diffuser down. They find the kills, they shut down the round, they shut down the map, and they shut down Heroic as they take 2 points out of an overtime win.
5 points in the lead. They move themselves now. Not the widest margin, but still a margin that Heroic are going to go to bed sweating about, I think, Ace. A mixed performance from both sides. Again, a bit of missed droning, a little bit of missed timings, a little bit of craziness. It's Coastline after all. Not super convinced by anything I've seen today, but I think in future weeks you might start to see more form being taken place. You mentioned Thunder being brand new, Kendrew bringing in a brand new style as well. There is going to be learnings for both sides to take out of today. I look forward to seeing how they're doing week 2. Right now, it still looks like these two teams are going to be the ones embroiled in that relegation scrap.
Absolutely. I think, we've got to, be honest about both teams there. They've both had new players come in. There's work for them to be done. It's a solid foundation for both of them. Plenty they can go away and look at. But as you say, if nothing else, I think Secret will at least breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief, because it does just put them that little bit further towards safety. So a good start from them. Now, we're going to head back over to Milosh, Jess, and Fresh on our analyst desk to wrap up our final game of Playday number 1.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And yes, a Coastline to round